Hello and welcome to our podcast. Today we are calling ourselves the CryptoCranks. Cranks meaning we think we know what we're talking about.
That's subject to change.
Of course. I'm Jacob.
I'm Landon.
And today we will be talking generally about the podcast and what it holds for you, the viewer, but also the elusive third party known as Lou, who comes and goes with us as he pleases. Lou, would you like to introduce yourself? No, he's being shy today. Okay, well, we're going to write that down. Lou, would you write down about how shy you're being today? Good job. Okay, anyway, moving on. With this podcast, we will be covering all ranges of topics, cryptocurrency, meaning philosophy, use cases, economics, news, updates, anything.
We won't necessarily always be going into like the depths of blockchain and stuff because blockchain's already kind of like formulated. We already know it works. Like blockchain, we know it works.
Absolutely, yes. That's already a founded principle, but we can
kind of discover more of where crypto can go.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So along with that, trying to do it in a humorous, pleasing way. Obviously, this can't be the Joe Rogan experience because he's Joe Rogan, and he's.
We don't have that experience.
We don't have that experience yet. I mean, it's in the name. You know what I mean? We're cranks right now, working to. Was it certified Bitcoin professionals? We'll get that license. We will. You just wait.
So I think today on the podcast, a good place to start would be maybe our own views on crypto, what we think it is, what it started as, and what it should or probably will become in the future. So
absolutely. Lenny, would you like to take it away since you brought up that idea?
Well, currently, I kind of follow the majority, thinking as crypto is, well, there's two kind of ways of thinking about crypto. One is it's an investment, and you use it just like the stock market, where I hope crypto goes up and I make a lot of money. And then other people see it as I guess it's like more modern gold, or it's...
Lou, write that down. Oh, he's already, look at him. He's already going.
Whereas you can take it and put it into like a little fund, like a hedge fund for yourself. I guess that's the wrong word, but you can
almost like a savings.
It's like a savings account.
Yeah, security, yeah.
Because people so believe that it will be the future that it's completely worth it to take, major investments into crypto and holding it, which...
If you are not familiar with the crypto space, that term is called hodling. Capital H, capital O, capital D, capital L, lowercase ing, hodling. And it's holding on for dear life, essentially. Which this idea of, just as Landon was speaking, that long term, you are expecting it to make a return without you having to actively trade it day to day. To make money day to day. It's just I'm going to hold on to it in the hopes that my investment grows.
Especially with Bitcoin, because there's not that much Bitcoin left. We know that we've lost a lot of Bitcoin because, basic things, lost hard drives. People forget their wallets, and
they forget their keys or their wallets or their passwords, and so that is lost indefinitely. Yeah,
stuff that the FBI might still have from Silk Road raids.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I don't know if they've sold all that yet. Stuff that's just gone. Satoshi still has a lot in his wallet. I don't know if...
I think, what is it? If he sold all of it at today's prices, he'd be like the fourth or fifth richest person. So he still has, I would say, probably a good, in the tens of thousands of Bitcoins probably.
Yeah, I think he has 160,000. Don't quote me on that.
Look at that.
But he does have the largest wallet, which isn't being currently moved right now, which doesn't look promising for an economy that you kind of want to move. Although, then again, you might not want to look at Bitcoin as an economy because it is a substance almost.
Oh yeah, almost. It's I think Satoshi's original. If you don't know who we're talking about, Satoshi Nakamoto is the person or persons. They are anonymous, who actually wrote the code, the original white paper, kind of discussing what Bitcoin is going to encompass, what its vision is, and you can basically break down Satoshi's vision into an electronic peer-to-peer cash system is what he envisioned Bitcoin to be. But of course, Satoshi is either no longer with us, or he wanted to disappear, or was never a person at all. Maybe it was a group of people. No one really knows. There's all this speculation about Craig Wright, which I think the crypto community has pretty much cleared him of being the real Satoshi. No one actually believes him, but I'm sure that's going to cause all kinds of arguments if we say that. So that is not official, but so that is Satoshi's original vision. Not maybe necessarily an entire economy, but certainly Bitcoin's presence in the world has created the idea of a blockchain economy, which is definitely something that Lan and I are both very interested in, and will be discussed throughout this podcast, as we said before.
Because it's an interesting new thing. Like I was thinking today on the way here, like the cell phone came out how long ago?
On the way to our fantastic studio, by the way. I mean, Lou, wouldn't you agree? Great studio.
Thanks, Lou.
Thanks, Lou.
I was thinking, like, the cell phone, it's a recently modern invention.
Yeah.
Like, it's within, definitely my lifetime.
So, 20, 30 years. And then even the smartphone is still only, 12
and
years?
the
15?
smartphone came out of the cell phone. And it's, what you think of now is, like, everyone has one. And it's probably one of the greatest technological devices we have right now. Because you have access to the entire world. And that came out of a cell phone, which came out of a phone, which came out of something very basic. I want to communicate with somebody across the world. And Bitcoin is pretty much just that. I want peer-to-peer transaction.
With no middleman.
With no middleman.
Near instantaneous.
And I think that the possibilities that Bitcoin has to grow, not just Bitcoin, I'm talking about cryptocurrencies in general. I don't necessarily know. And I don't really think that Bitcoin's going to be the one.
The end all, yeah.
But it's led to such promising ideas and groups, good and bad, that have both used it for good and bad, but a good framework. And it's got a good community. But I'm excited to see the things that cryptocurrency will bring in the future that I don't think anybody could possibly see yet coming.
Oh yeah, and we're only 10 years into this. Bitcoin just celebrated the 10 year of its Genesis block. Genesis block meaning the very first block that was mined, the very first transaction that occurred on the network, on the blockchain. They just celebrated that. So it's only been, this is something that's still very much in an infantile state. Where, as Landon said before, we don't even know what's in the next 5 years. I mean, things have occurred over the past 3 years that no one predicted, via, market trends. Cryptocurrency is still one of those things that many governments still don't know what name to put it under. The United States has decided to call it a security, whereas I just read recently the International Accounting Standards Group, that almost every other nation, except for, of course, the United States is a part of, they do not consider it a security. They consider it an intangible asset, according to their accounting standards. So it's one of those things where we are still trying to formulate, and of course with all of Facebook's Libra developments, this idea of trying to come up with like a truly global coin, if you will, a global cryptocurrency kind of payment system. There are many sides and many facets to all of this because it's still so young.
And it's crazy how the timeline went, because end of 2017, Bitcoin blew up. It rocketed up to about 20,000. And then you hear all these people like Warren Buffett and all these billionaires, like, they try to really downplay Bitcoin.
It's they call it like a tulip craze. If you read into historical economics, you had the tulip craze in I want to say it was like 16th, 17th century Europe, especially like the Netherlands and Belgium, and that's like a standard that the Buffetts of the economic and like finance world use for cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin.
And I think he even called it rat poison.
Yeah, at one point, yes.
And what's crazy is they called it that 3 years ago after the boom, and then all these altcoins came out that some of them serve very good purposes, like the one you were talking about that's trying to use money to transfer from country to country from people that have
immigrated. Like so remittances. The Stellar network, which is I think a top 10 or a top 20 cryptocurrency right now by capitalization, by volume, and all of that. They are one of their goals, one of the use cases, which that's another term you'll hear us say a lot. Where as we delve into more, cryptocurrencies, the use case of this cryptocurrency. The Stellar network, their whole goal is to fix the global remittance system, which has, fees that have skyrocketed like 10 or 20%. If you live in the United States and your grandmother lives in the Philippines still, you can't just send her US dollars via bank wire. You have to figure out a way to transfer that or exchange that into Philippine pesos. And obviously you have the exchange rate fee, you have whoever the remittance company is that you use, whether it's, I don't know what they would use over there, maybe like the Western Union of the Philippines, so they charge their fee. And, cryptocurrency like Stellar, is trying to fix that, so all these other altcoins, from many of them are only, like you said, 2 years old. After that boom hit, then all of a sudden you have all these,
thousands.
There are, I want to say, like, I can't even remember, 2,000 or like 20,000 different cryptocurrencies. It's something crazy, yeah.
And then all these cryptocurrencies boom, and then all of a sudden you hear all the news organizations, this is just a fad, it's going to blow over, it's just, digital money. And then all of a sudden you hear all about all these banks like Ripple, XRP, they're starting to really talk with banks about some serious stuff. And then you hear Libra, and you're like, oh, what's Libra? And then Facebook is making their own cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
And then China is making their own cryptocurrency, which I can't wait to see what that entails.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
because really, if you look at it from an honest point of view, and if you could just if you could really just switch the entire economy over like that, like China can, then it actually has no downsides whatsoever, especially because the Chinese will obviously make it trackable by the government. They'll be able to tell where the money is going.
Oh, yeah.
The Chinese, this will probably be one of the biggest moves for China. It just, in economic history, if it can get the ball rolling, because China's already also so mobile.
Oh, yeah.
When I went there in 2017, I barely, they use cash. But everybody pays on WeChat. You all you have to do is tap your phone to a sensor, and it's already paid. So they're already so close to it.
Mm-hmm. And I think that those are the kind of advancements you're going to be seeing, and hopefully we'll be able to discuss a lot more on this podcast, is these advancements for finance, for economy, and then also being able to really discuss kind of the philosophy and the economics behind these things, because, of course, China is still very much a communist centered government and economy, whereas the United States, more of a, I would say, not a free market capitalist society, but maybe a kind of a almost like, I don't know, half free, half control market economy, a capitalist economy. Then you have many European nations. You have like the Scandinavian countries that are kind of democratic socialist nations and economies where it's just going to be very interesting to see how these cryptocurrencies, as they're more adopted, because we know adoption is coming. It's really only a matter of time at this point. So it'll be interesting to see how each country, how each economic area, the EU, the United States, North America, and then China, and even Russia has talked about, they've kind of tossed the idea around of a digital national currency, how it's going to play out in economic terms, how philosophically how this is going to work out, via, the social changes that occur because of this. I obviously can't speak to China, but, many people in America, are still kind of hesitant with that kind of change, versus, many places like China. They've already kind of jumped on that boat, and, Europe have, they've already really, and then you have, developing nations in Africa, which that's Libra's main focus, is these undeveloped, unbanked peoples. So, you have many people in India, the Middle East, Africa, many of these nations, how it's going to impact them socially, economically, philosophically, So those are all things I'm interested in exploring, obviously. But
I think it's also a good time to talk about other things we would like to talk about on the future of this podcast.
Yes, absolutely.
One of them that I'm really interested in is what
Lou was giving us he was giving us the finger snap, like, hey, you need to move on.
So one of the things that I think would be really interesting to talk about would be what kind of economic systems different, like crypto and how it works under different economic systems, capitalism, socialism, communism, totalitarianism. Of course, like some of these, once you drift towards the extremes, it almost becomes the same. Totalitarianism and communism, that's...
In many places, yeah, they end up playing out
in the same role. But like I said, in socialist, communist China, which it's more communist, but it is communist, it's going to be extremely different than what it would be in capitalist America or maybe some places in South America, and I'm interested to see how it will play out in the future, because the future's coming. It's just how fast is it going to snap at us.
Well, and also how differently they'll play out, but also how similarly, because you look at especially in America, in the United States, where the government really has an interest in regulating it. I don't know. The United States government is I would say famous for wanting to regulate things, but then saying, it's all about freedom and liberty and all. So it's a very interesting concept. But so not only just the differences, but also the similarities, I think. I think also we would like to make sure we're staying up to date on new projects. So a very interesting, I'll just throw one out here that I've seen recently, is on the Paxos Standard Token, which is it's a stable coin backed by US dollars. It's one of the more famously audited ones. They do, I can't remember, weekly or monthly audits to make sure the reserves are up to date and actually backing, so they don't have like a USDT incident like Tether. Tether is famous for not actually, there's concerns that it's not actually backed fully by US dollar reserves. So, but anyway, Paxos, they actually just recently came out with a gold-backed token or cryptocurrency. It's backed by gold that's kept in a vault in London, and so that's a very interesting, this concept of almost bringing back the gold standard, really. So you have these old ideas that we did away with for fiat money for so long. And now they're coming back. People are more interested in these things. They're declaring their freedom from fiat, really. That was Lou's saying, believe it or not. Lou came up with that, fiat freedom for the masses. So thank you, Lou. Thank you.
Other ideas that we have are the kind of cryptocurrencies that we are fond of. Maybe the top 10 cryptocurrencies and what they plan on doing, what their situation is currently and where they plan on going in the future, and maybe some mistakes they've made on the way.
I would say with a particular focus on Bitcoin, because I think Bitcoin has that first mover status. But not only first mover status, it is the one that draws the most focus. It's got that name, it's got that brand recognition, almost, if you will.
Absolutely. You don't really go on Fox News much and hear much about Ethereum or Ripple. You hear Bitcoin. Yeah, it's kind of like the boomer name for cryptocurrency. Most people over the age of,
we'll just lowball it and say 40. What do you say, 40?
That's a great name. We'll give it 40. Don't know what cryptocurrencies are, but they know what Bitcoin is.
And that is really, truly the purpose of this podcast, is to be able to, that's why we called it CryptoCranks. We are two everyday guys who really have just been drawn to this concept and to this idea and to blockchain technology too. We are not, I'll be the first to admit, I want to teach myself how to code. I don't know how to code, but I am so interested in, like, as Landon said earlier, the philosophical, the social, the economic impacts of this, but also to educate people. One, because I think there's so much, you saw this with when everything boomed, you hear about all these ICO scams, these initial coin offering scams.
Bitconnect!
Yeah. like when you told me that.
Hey.
So you have all these. He's still going. Lou's dying in the corner, man. Oh my gosh! So no, you have all these scams. You have these big companies that prey on that convenience factor. Really, like he's still over here singing. So like, I mean, I really enjoy Coinbase. Coinbase is really the one that kind of got me more into trading and more into like looking into different exchanges. But Coinbase is really one that it will get you with the fees.
It'll gouge you.
I mean, they really will, and they do that. I understand because of that convenience factor. You know, it's very much like I would consider Coinbase like the Apple of, you know, it's a very good product. But they will get you at that premium pricing. They'll get you at that prestige pricing because, you know, they really are. It is a very secure service. But, you know, that is the job of this podcast, really, to educate you on all the different options you have via exchanges, via cryptocurrencies. You know, there are cryptocurrencies that are very popular, but I'm not really that, I would say, in tune with, you know, or really interested in either via a flaw that I've seen in their community or in the use case or what have you, or maybe it's just not. Maybe we live in a country where it's not offered, you know, very like Binance in the United States really hasn't really taken a good foothold, and their stablecoin, their USD stablecoin, the BUSD, isn't even offered in the United States as of right now, from what I understand, as of the recording of this podcast in particular. So that is really going to be our job, to where you can push play on this podcast.
I was about to say, don't say the date, because if you're wrong, we still don't have to correct ourselves.
Yeah, I had to go back and edit that up. But no, so you can push play on this podcast and just hear two everyday guys who are going through this journey as well, but and have that just very easygoing, hopefully understandable education. And I think that's something else we want to be able to do is at some point be able to do Q&As, or, you know, you can email us, or you can, you know, maybe get a Telegram channel set up. Send me a bird. Send him a bird.
Yeah, get a parrot. Or, wait, what's
carrier pigeon?
Carrier pigeon. Thank goodness, I would have kept calling it a parrot.
Carrier parrot. Well, you know, and to be able to you know, send us your questions.
Send a bottle in a river.
Right. Send us your questions, and we'll do our very best. Like we said, we're cranks. We're CryptoCranks.
Shoot me
we think
fax.
we know.
I keep thinking of new ones.
Oh my gosh! It's so.
I think this is a good time to wrap it up.
I would say, yeah. So,
thanks for joining us.
Absolutely.
I'm Landon.
I'm Jacob.
And this has been the CryptoCranks.
Bye.